Inuvik acknowledges that we are located on the traditional lands of the Gwich'in and Inuvialuit people of the Northwest Territories. We are grateful to be allowed the opportunity to learn, work, and live on Treaty 11 lands within the Gwich'in settlement area and the lands of the Inuvialuit final agreement. Item number 2 is adoption of the agenda. Any comments, corrections? Nothing? Declaration of conflict of interest or pecuniary interest, anyone? None. Item 4, delegations, presentations, or petitions. 4.1 is the RCMP report. Any comments? I understand Jesse Aubin will be here Wednesday night. So if you have questions, you can ask them from him. Next presentation we have is Gwich'in Tribal Council. If you'd like to sit by the microphone there, and you can give your presentation. By the way, welcome to Jamie Cooley, Ken Pickett, close, and Kelly McLeod in the background. That's the first time I ever tried that, so bear with me.
That's the whole point, right? Is that people give it a try.
Exactly. You can turn your microphone on. Thank
Got
you.
on?
Yeah, and make sure you speak into the mic. I've been told I'm hard of hearing, so.
Okay, I hope everybody can hear me. That's at Greensey. Good evening, everybody. I'm Grand Chief Ken Kikovichik of the Gwich'in Tribal Council. And I like to tell people it's kind of 4 parts. Kikovichik. You say it all at once, it means can I carry the arrow in the Gwich'in or Dinjiju language. I'd like to thank you for the land acknowledgement. The fact that this is within the Gwich'in settlement area and the community that we share with our neighbors to the north, the Inuvialuit. I'd like to send condolences to the town of Inuvik and on the passing of past mayor Derek Lindsay and his family and friends and many friends that he has in this area. And it's my pleasure to be here with our Chief Operating Officer, Jamie Cooey, to present on our plans for some housing development that we're looking at doing in the town of Inuvik. The town of Inuvik is one of the 4 Gwich'in communities that we have of Aklavik, Tedleje, Fort McPherson, Sigichik, and last but certainly not least, Inuvik. And this is part of federal funding that the GTC has received from the federal government over the last couple of years and is continuing over the upcoming years as part of the federal government's renewed approach towards addressing the housing gap that faces Indigenous communities across the country. So with that, I'd like to turn the table over to our COO, who will go through the slide deck that we have prepared for this evening's presentation. Jamie?
Merci, Grand Chief, and merci for having us here to present on our proposal. If you go to the second slide, maybe just a bit on the table of contents. So we'll just go over kind of the GTC housing approach, the housing objectives, and then get into the town of Inuvik, the approach we've been taking here, and then a little bit of a visual on what that vision may look like, and just kind of our next steps. I know you guys have a busy agenda, so I want to keep it the presentation fairly short, but to make those key points on the slide 3, kind of on the GTC housing approach. So our approach has been from beginning, and it started about 18 months ago, to establish community development plans for all the communities in the Gwich'in settlement area. So as Grand Chief just mentioned, communities of Inuvik, Aklavik, Tedleje, and Sigichik. So there'd be a community plan specific to each of those communities. So this is all infrastructure, not just housing, but all infrastructure related. Kind of what is the community plan, not the GTC plan, but what was a plan made by the community. So these sessions have been open to Gwich'in participants, all residents. So they've been open to everybody. There's an engagement session back in April, another one in July. And we're actually here this week doing our 3rd round of engagements with draft community plans. So we were just over at the NETAD office to duck out a bit early. So they're over there engaging with the community on what a draft community development plan looks like for them. We did establish and create a director position, so a director of housing and infrastructure position. That position's just been filled by Kate Jarvis, who just started on January 29th. So as we have our goals to build housing and build other infrastructure, we really do need the internal capacity ourselves and the expertise ourselves. So we're successful in staffing that position just recently. And then planning to construct initial housing in 2024, 2025. So we just did close an RFP to construct homes. We just closed that in January, and we're working towards selecting our preferred vendors right now. So part of our strategy is while those community development plans are in progress, we didn't want to lose another year. What we've heard from the get-go in our engagements is that there is a housing crisis. Residents and participants are sick and tired of engaging on housing, and they need someone to take action. So our approach has been to plan for 2024, 25 on what we think we can build with our internal capacity and with external capacity to get moving while we wait for those community development plans to come forward and wrap it all together. Next slide, kind of on those objectives. So again, on that, and beginning to address the housing crisis in the GSA. So what we see in our draft community development plans right now is a need for at least 130 new homes. This is a mix of social housing, market housing. The hardest one we're having trouble gauging is, residents or participants that have left the GSA to get educated or for other reasons, likely housing. So people have left, become tradespeople, they become nurses, become teachers, and they have no place to live when they come back. Those are the exact type of people we need back in the community. So that's a gap there. So we've had a little trouble gauging, if there was a host for somebody to come back. It's kind of a statistic that's been hard to get, but we have an estimate of at least 130 new homes that we do need. Our plan is to start with home ownership units. This is not a social housing initiative right now. What we're looking at is how do we motivate, again, people, which are participants, to work, to get educated, to get into their house, own a home that they can take pride in, and maintain that home going forward with the help of GTC and GDC. So that's where we're looking to start with home ownership units. Some of those Gwich'in housing objectives. So again, we're looking at energy efficiency, quality, durability, maintenance, and as well as homes that really respect our Gwich'in values. They're up on the screen there. Again, respect, honor, kindness, laughter, our stories, honesty, and fairness, and sharing and caring. The next slide, kind of into the approach with the town of Inuvik. So as council's aware, we did have an initial offer to purchase 6 lots. That's received first and second reading, and I understand third reading is on February 14th for consideration. So part of our planning is, again, to build 20 homes in the Gwich'in settlement area in 2024-25. So that would be 6 in Inuvik, 8 in Tetlejay, 3 in Sikachik, and 3 in Aklavik. There is an opportunity for us to build more in Inuvik based on land availability. So where we can get land and where we might be struggling to get land, we built our RFP and looking for our contractors. So where we have land and where we have the capacity to build, we can shift those targets around. So 20 of the ones I just shared with you and we shared in our letter last week, that's our target right now for planning purposes, but we do have the ability to move that around based on where we can get land. Working with town administration to secure additional lots. So from the get-go in our discussions, we know we need more than 6 lots in Inuvik. Very open about that, and we've had some very great conversations with town administration on that. What we didn't know is how many lots we need while we're doing our development planning process. So the conversation we had was, let's secure those 6, let's get an offer in, let's secure the 6. And, from our perspective, we thought we did have a verbal agreement for a first right of refusal with associated deposits. So we were kind of, as I understand it, our lawyers were starting to talk about what legal document that looked like, how much of a deposit, was the deposit refundable, non-refundable, looked like those conversations were going on. So, we thought we were moving towards securing these additional 25 lots with a first right of refusal. Very aware that other offers may come in at the time, but we were hoping to build out in that area. So we're just hoping to secure that land until the time came where we say we can build it out or we can't, and then obviously release it to that other offer if there was one. So while that process was going on, obviously another offer was submitted as we understand it. So what we did then was formally submitted our offer to purchase those lots. The price we put on those 25 additional lots was the same price we purchased the 6 for. So that was kind of our standing point on our offer, without looking to get in a bidding war, but we thought that was a fair offer for what we were prepared to pay for the six lots. So that's kind of where we left things, and we're here today and happy to be here to chat about our plans. GTC and the GDC are planning to construct a mix of home ownership and market rentals over the coming year. So our approach is really, again, home ownership. We're looking for that home ownership aspect. We need to address homes for our Gwich'in participants before we get into market rentals. We need to focus on our Gwich'in participants, obviously. We need to build our own capacity, and we need to establish a relationship and the supply chain with our contractors we're talking about right now, and we're looking to finalize our contracts with. We need to get those partnerships in place. We need to be successful in building homes for our Gwich'in participants, and then we can move into market rentals. But we do have a plan here over the next, 1 to 5 years to really, if successful in our application, really build out that area of that whole 31 lots within the next, 1 to 5 years. The next slide is just a visual. So this is that whole area there. Again, this is just a visual for illustration purposes only. It's not exactly what the homes are going to look like, but we wanted to provide a visual of how we could build out that area with a mix of, market housing for home ownership, market rentals, those types of homes with those vision in mind. So this is, again, just for illustrative purposes. We're in the middle of selecting our home building partners right now to see what the homes will actually look like, but we did want to provide a visual so you could see our plan, our short-term plan here to build out in that area. Next slide, next steps, obviously finalizing our contractual relationship with our housing providers. We're likely going to do that next week. Like, we are moving pretty quick here. We need to move quick to secure the home builders. As most folks are aware, Indigenous governments around Canada have federal money, such as we do, to build these homes, right? So we do, from the proposals that we do have, we are in line, we are on target. We can build those 20 homes in 24, 25. That takes us to the second bullet there about land acquisition in the 4 GSA communities. It's something we're obviously actively working on to achieve our goals. We're going to need the land. But as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we can kind of plug and play. We can mix where we build the homes based on where we have success getting the land. So hopefully, in Inuvik, and we do have broader goals to build more than 6 homes here. If we do have more land capacity, obviously we can look to build more homes in 2024. So these homes will likely be coming in August, and people will be, which are participants, can be living them by October. We are successful in hitting our targets here. On the housing construction side, so with 2024-25, a target of 20 homes. When we first started, we're hoping to build those all in 2024. But there's obviously logistics in getting homes to Aklavik and logistics in getting land availability in some of our communities. So, but we are hoping to do those in the next year or two. And then plan for 2025 and beyond, building at least 50 homes in the GSA. We had about $51.5 million from the federal government. We have a plan in place. We have internal capacity. We have external capacity. Like, this is a vision that we can really pull off. And again, starting this summer and really driving that forward to be a success story here. And then advocating our government partners for additional funding based on the community development plans and needs and requirements. So again, these development plans are more than just housing. They're all types of infrastructure. We hear a lot about childcare. We hear a lot about early learning, those cultural spaces where youth and elders can connect, tourism, the local coffee shop, office space, space for businesses. Like, these are all things that are going to go into those plans, especially when you talk about early learning or childcare. We have other funding avenues for those types of things if we can get a good proposal together and have places to pull us off. So we'll be able to advocate based on our plans for other funding to really further out the other infrastructure needs. While we get a plan for housing. Our approach again was to focus on housing based on what we're hearing from residents and our participants, and we all know the housing crisis that we're facing, so we don't need to get into that. But again, our plans are going to be based on a wide variety of things. Maybe the last slide is just to wrap it up. Again, you know, we have a shared need, we have a shared objective, I think, with the town of Inuvik in needing homes, needing them quick. We have a plan in place. Again, we have the internal capacity in place. We have the external capacity. We have partners that are able to help us meet our targets and our goals. We're gonna lock those down right away so that we can really go on it. And you saw the visual and, you've heard our plan. We're really hoping to work with the town of Inuvik on this. We really think we can make a difference and we think we can do it fairly quick and we have the plans in place. So really, thank you for the time to present. And if there's any questions, myself and Grand Chief are here to answer them. Let's see.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll open it up to council in a minute. I just have a question if I could. I'll get you next. If you are successful in buying the 25 lots in the town, how many would you be building homes on this year?
At least 6.
The 6 that you have now?
We'll be looking to build 6 minimum based on the ones we have now, but based on, again, land availability and others, we might be building more this year.
So it would be 6 this year.
At least 6.
Okay. And your timeline for the balance of 25?
Sorry, Vince?
The other 25 lots, what's your plan on? When would you be constructing homes on those?
Over the next 2 to 5 years.
Deputy Mayor Kultowski?
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. Just, if for some reason these 25 lots in the one specific area aren't available or this doesn't go through in that same way, are you guys open to other available lots in town? For example, there's a few lots on Rayont, there's a couple maybe on Mackenzie, like kind of everywhere in town. Is that, like, if we were to come with you to a list of 15 properties that are for sale as well, like, does location matter? Because you're looking at logistics of keeping everything in one spot, or is it just, this is where you know the lots are available, and so that's why that request is for those lots? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, we know the lots are available there. We know you guys have a plan to get the utilitors and the services in place. You know, it's very appealing to us that it could be a Gwitchin area. I mean, if that wasn't available to us, then we'd have to assess our options, right? We do own some land through GDC and other lands, so we'd have to assess our options. You know, ideally it could be together and it could be a bit of a community. You know, based on a community development plan and how we could build that out, right? So that would be the ideal, but again, if it wasn't available to us, we'd be assessing all our options at that time.
Any further questions? Councillor Wainwright.
Thanks for your presentation. What percentage would be rentals and what percentage would be private to Gwitchin?
Yeah, don't have an exact percentage yet, but again, you know, I think our data says we need, you know, 130 homes. Not all of Inuvik, obviously, but you know, whether, you know, say there's 31 lots in there, however many we need is gonna be based on our community development plans. So that's gonna tell us how many homes do we need for Gwitchin participants. So those are into, like, we just presented them tonight, right? So we're hoping to have those community development plans wrapped up in April. That's gonna give us a better idea of how many homes we need for Gwitchin participants and then how much land we have left for market rentals. Like, we know we need housing for market rentals for our employees on the GDC side. We know the GNWT needs market rentals. Town probably does for employees, you know, lots of employers need market rentals. So I don't know the exact mix. It's gonna be based on the land and the results of our community development plans.
Thanks.
Any further questions? Just for information purposes, the property on Raven and Inuit, the rural housing over there will be in the tax auction this year if you're interested in those properties as well. Councillor Wainman?
Do you plan on prefab, stick built or modular or what's your plan?
Yeah, we put our RFP out, each one has a different concept, so we're really working through that right now, right? But obviously to get some homes up this summer, we're gonna have to look at some form of prefab or modular, so.
Okay, thanks.
Any further questions? None. Thank you very much for the presentation, and we'll certainly, I've certainly listened. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Item 5, public question period. See, we actually have 2 members of the public here. If you have a question. Okay. Yes. If you'd like to step up to the table, or did you have a question?
Mary Ann and Bobby.
Thank you.
Okay.
Item 6,
Stop here.
6.1, minutes of the January 22nd, 24th, 2024 council meeting. Any questions? None. 6.2, minutes of the January 30th, 2024 public hearing. Any comments? 6.3, minutes of the January 30th, 2024 special council meeting. Any questions? Excuse me. 6.4, minutes of the February 6th, 2024 Public Works Committee meeting. Any questions, comments?
It's
Deputy Mayor Kulikowski.
just, wondering, like, I know there's not maybe a direct answer of why, but having only 4 contractors come forward for the small business registry, wondering, like, did we send letters to all businesses? How are we communicating to business? Or is this something that's not needed if there's only 4 that are interested? Just wondering where we're at on that.
Sale Travis, can you clarify?
Again, good evening, Your Worship and Council. Deputy Mayor Kulikowski, I believe, Director Eli can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we mailed every single business in our business in our business licensing database. And Director Eli, if you wanted to add something more to that, I think we did everything we could to notify the community.
Yes, we
Thank
did
you.
post it publicly, as well as every registered business in town was provided with India.
Any further questions? Councilor Devlin.
Are we assuming that as the business registry software fixed, so companies can register? Recently, many tried and were rejected by the front desk in December, January. I'm wondering if that's been fixed. That may have affected the actual list that we call them. Thank you.
Councillor Devlin, we recently recruited a new director of corporate services who also is our director, our chief manager of the finance department. Director Odiasi is here with us tonight. And he has been working weekends, evenings, the effort he's been putting forth to get our system caught up and working properly. I would like to pay a big thank you to him for that. Our year-end roll forward in our financial system did not go smoothly. It never took place until Stephen and I could get up to speed in working with our software supplier. And that's what caused the delays and the rejections of the business licenses. Because if you're not rolled forward from one fiscal year to the next, you cannot process business licenses. That is now fixed, and we are working as hard as we can to get back on track for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none. Action items, 7.1, the action items list. Any comments? New business, 8.1, the update to the donations policy. Any questions, comments, concerns? Councilor Merrill.
I'm wondering why we're raising the expectation that a group asking for a donation would have to have an audit by somebody who's basically a certified professional auditor. I'm thinking about small groups like Girl Guides. That's an impossibility with the cost of an audit. Is there a reason for this?
Taylor Travis, did you wish to comment?
The request to review this policy came in from Councillor Devlin, and the wording in the previous policy was such that it was a qualified person. A qualified person in the policy isn't necessarily an audit. So if council wishes to be able to have the flexibility to actually call an audit on an organization, we're simply changing the wording to reflect who is qualified as an auditor. So it'd be at the discretion of council, and it would be their wish to add this wording to make it an actual audit or not. And we are simply bringing forward the request of Councillor Devlin to be able to have the flexibility to request an audit if council so desires. Using the word qualified person is not actually an auditor, and we're simply quoting the Chartered Professional Accountancies Act to be able to appoint a true auditor in the territory.
Councillor Merrill, you had.
I may not be reading this right since I'm trying to read it off the phone, but does it say in here that's a choice, or, because the way I'm reading it looks like this is what we're gonna require of everybody who's asking for a donation.
Sale?
So the wording that we put into section 4 of this policy is that council will reserve the right. It's not mandatory. It's simply increasing the power of council should they have the desire to request an audit.
That helps greatly, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor.
Any further questions? Item 9, bylaws. 9.1 is the interim tax billing, third and final reading. Any questions? 9.2, disposed by way of sale, bylaw 2728, third and final reading. That's the sale of property at Shell Lake to Tom Zuko. Any questions? Nothing. 9.3, disposed by way of sale, bylaw 2729, third and final reading. That is the 6 properties to the Twitching Tribal Council. Any comments? Okay. We have no department head reports, information items, strategic priorities chart. Any comments? Seeing none, council concerns, anything tonight? Nothing. So I need a motion to go in camera. Councillor Wayman, seconded by Councillor Alexis. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you very much for coming, everybody.